Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the final segment of the alternative view on Salam Media, One Nation FM, and Al Ansar out in Durban and Pietermaritzburg. And this time of the morning, we look at a tribute to Muslim broadcasters in South Africa, some very interesting personalities over the last 2 weeks. And today we have yet another. And all of this is inspired by none other than Marhum Rahmatullah Alayh Ibrahim Gangat. As you may know, a long-standing media Muslim personality, started out at Radio Islam, onto Channel Islam, and then the final years of his life here at Salam Media, where he made an impact on thousands and thousands and thousands of people's lives all around the world. And it is with his memory that we've looked at the various Muslim broadcasters, those who are with us currently and others who have passed on already, and speaking about their lives and their contribution to the broader community as well as within the Muslim community. And today we have none other than Najma Khota, who is a former broadcast journalist. She pioneered women's voices on the Muslim community radio stations, is currently in practice as a counseling therapist and a wellness practitioner, and she is an experienced trauma counselor that has practiced at various private hospitals. Currently, unit coordinator and counselor for a cancer institute at a private hospital, and a public and motivational speaker. And we welcome her to the radio airwaves as well as the Facebook platform, Salam Media, facebook.com/Salam Media. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Najman, welcome to the program.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah. It's such a pleasure to be here, Azhar. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, so a pioneer in the field of radio broadcasting for Muslim ladies in South Africa. Where did it all start for you?
Well, it's so wonderful that you're talking about this today, because I think it's important in community radio stations. And post 1994, when the opportunity opened, we ventured out to start our own community radio stations. And at that stage, Radio Islam was also in the process of getting their license. And we at, as you know, East West Radio also had initiated the need to have a community radio station in, just here, just to also fulfill one of my childhood dreams, actually. I always wanted to be a broadcaster, and apartheid days, we never had the opportunity. And so when the opportunity opened up, of course, those of us that could made the best of it. So we trained as community and commercial radio broadcasters and presenters. And I would like to actually acknowledge late Shamima Sheikh, who actually opened up the Voice Radio station with Naeem Gina, her husband, and the Yield organization, which was the Youth Islamic Enlightenment and Development organization that, in fact, helped us to get our voices on air. Yes, so I was one of the pioneer voices on Islamic radio stations and, in fact, TV stations.
That was a long time ago, and the voice radio station is one that we haven't given much attention to. Unfortunately, they had to close down after some time, but it was a pioneering voice in its own space back in those days.
I'm sorry, your part of your I've missed some of your question. It's freezing a bit on your side.
I was saying that
yeah, can you repeat that?
Yeah, the voice radio station has been one that we haven't heard about in a very long time. They had to close down, unfortunately, after some years of broadcasting. But at that time, in the 1990s, it was very much a pioneering radio station in its own space.
Absolutely, and I think what really got me off the ground there is that when we were still struggling to get our voices heard, so to speak, and get a space in the Muslim media as women, I think that the experience and the people that I met with there, and the types of programming that we were then free to to broadcast and to have, I think, were the most, springboard moments of my broadcast career, because that was then the introduction to, the broader community, in the sense that we learned the different aspects and the different, in fact, very controversial opinions sometimes to the broader community. And my experience and my the privilege here today should be to that radio station. It is such a pity that it didn't last very long. But the Voice radio station at the time also gave me the opportunity to enhance my research ability and skills. So one of my most successful programs there was called the Step by Step program, which was a research and produced program by myself on parenting, which then in fact got recognition at the International Islamic University of Malaysia. So there were tremendous opportunities that grew from that. And I must say, talking about it now really brings back nostalgia and pleasant memories.
You
In the
also
early
did,
days of broadcasting, especially community stations. Yeah, sorry?
yes, you also did a broadcasting and radio work at Radio Islam, and I think I had the opportunity of meeting you at Channel Islam International (CII). What were some of the achievements and some of the dynamics at these two radio broadcasters for yourself?
Mhm. So, Radio Islam, the only contribution I made for them was just to assist before they went on air. So, advice on the technical side, advice on how to get the license, and just whatever we did at Israel Radio, I just sort of duplicated. So, I was never on air at Radio Islam, as it were, and that's how I then had to make my way onto a platform that allowed Muslim women to be on air. But then, of course, I was headhunted by Channel Islam just before they started, and I'm so happy to say that, and I humbly say this, that also the first voice at Channel Islam International with our beloved departed brother Ibrahim Gangat. We were together in the initial stages of starting as presenters on Channel Islam International. So I think what really was, there were so many amazing, you know, achievements, if you like, at Channel Islam, not just for me personally, but I think what really was a platform that motivated me to be a bit more conscientious of the type of programming that we had, because we opened up to an international audience for the first time. Our community radio stations were confined to a 50-kilometer radius, and yet we became so popular. So I think the idea of having the World Space platform and going on to an international, our demographic changed of the type of listeners that we had. And so that was also a great stepping stone for me in getting recognized as a presenter, international presenter, as it were. And what I can remember with a lot of fondness, that one of the achievements, if I can highlight, is that I was invited to the International Visitor Leadership Program by the US State Department, and I represented South Africa there as an ambassador to broadcasters, community broadcasters, and more specifically an ambassador for Muslim women on that international journey. And it was with the likes of 22 journalists from different parts of the world, and I had some amazing experiences there. And if you like, I can highlight one of them. So it was one of the great moments of being able to present ourselves as Muslims. And this was post 9/11, and a lot changed after that in terms of media and what we call then alternative media. And we were trying to push our way into mainstream media and not being able to actually penetrate that wall, because the alternative was the truth and the other one had to be analyzed to find out whether or not we were actually being exposed to the truth or the true side of the stories. So, having met and been with journalists that were on their national station, TV stations mainly, I think also gave me an opportunity to expose what we called alternative media at the time. And one of the fates there was to host and chair, selected, nominated, and voted to chair a meeting at the Pentagon, which was a press conference at the Pentagon in the USA. So the exposure was tremendous, and also the motivation and the inspiration to come back and use all of those skills on a platform such as Channel Islam International. So yes,
Mhm.
there were those amazing memories, if I can call it that, of feats as part of the journey.
Finally, Najma, you have an impressive resume on counseling and as a therapist working in various hospitals and institutions. How did you bring all of that information and tie it into your broadcasting career?
Well, as my field evolved, if you like, in terms of broadcasting. And I think one of the main reasons that I shifted into the counseling skills is because my programs usually addressed the social ills and some of the very taboo subjects that and controversial at times too, that I would raise on my live platforms as a talk show host on radio. And I would get lots of calls from people afterwards for advice and counseling, as it were. So I improved my skills on that. I learned it, developed it, and I brought it in, but in a very subtle way. So we didn't have a counseling session on air, though. But I think the types of people that I was assisting in terms of therapy actually brought about more information for me to bring out on the radio platforms, so we could then address those issues, not so much on a personal level, but reaching out in a different way to people who otherwise are very reserved about talking about anything that requires
Najma,
therapy.
Najma Khota, a former radio broadcaster, and I'm certain that that career is not yet over as yet. A pioneer for Muslim women voices in South Africa on radio stations, as well as practicing counseling therapist. Jazakallah khairan. Thank you so much for your time, for your contribution to Muslim voices and Muslim media, both locally and internationally. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take you from strength to strength. You keep well. And remember us in your du'as. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah. Ameen, and all the best to Salam Media. You're doing a great job yourself. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. That brings us to the end of today's program. Thank you for tuning in to the Alternative View. My name is Azhar Vadi, and the regular programming continues after the 10 a.m. news.